there are very many companies out there which have gotten aesthetics right as a money-making device, as a way to tap into some market niche or some customer base, but aesthetics are not ethics. And that is one of the biggest problems that I have with this, that aesthetics is a very shallow form of adopting maybe stylistic trends and a theme that can be expressed via different cultural expressions and signifiers or symbols. Aesthetics actually, there is an intersection between aesthetics and ethics, because usually an aesthetic is connected to this idealized notion or story. Let's say the very identity of the product gets sequestered by the algorithm that essentially suggests several similar products to the customer in a similar color scheme or aesthetic, but without the ethics of let's have a completely transparent supply chain where you can tell how the product has been made, whether it's been sourced ethically or the sourcing of the materials has been used responsible mining practices. So when you hire creatives, you want them to have your style, or you want them to have a comprehension of your aesthetic. When you are trying to hire a creative, you're very likely shopping around for someone that already has very similar, or if not extremely, like very matching style and aesthetics. Ethics is important because an aesthetic is created from an ethos, but an aesthetic doesn't necessarily need to be attached to ethos. You can easily culturally appropriate an aesthetic and just sell something with the aesthetic, but without the cultural significance or the values attached to how it was made. That is the problem in many of these situations where people think that they're buying a more authentic or a more genuine product, which essentially is just balloon framing or has the veneer of authentic, but is made in the same destructive, reckless, irresponsible way that is geared towards mindless profiteering, if not just cannibalistic extraction. The reason why aesthetics can be very easily misconstrued and made into an extremely shallow thing is because aesthetics themselves are not a style. So when you want to hire a designer, you gotta take into account that the aesthetic is more like the social circumstances and the end results of stylistic trends and social circumstances that gave significance to that style in that moment in time. And we can just harken back to an aesthetic because we have the power and the privilege of nostalgia, and we can harken back to the Wild West to tell you, let's be pioneering. And I'm harkening to the romantic notion of the Wild West to tell you, let's be pioneering. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, you lack something new, something you didn't know you lacked, something you lack adventure and exploration, you lack the spirit of the Wild Wild West. And the problem is that people who are living through the Wild Wild West, they were just trying to survive. If you take it out of context, you're just making a little cartoon. Aesthetic is very fuzzy as a notion because aesthetic is not a style. Aesthetic cannot be defined as a style because aesthetic is circumstantial, whereas style is pattern recognition. They only mean something because I put them together, and that's where they draw their significance. So you can have one style, you can have two styles, you can have several styles intermingling with each other, and that can be aesthetic.